Now, Rack and Tom Little are here to give us their views and their opinions on this emphatic win today. Welcome back to the show, boys. Young Tom, brilliant performance, excellent result. Talk to us.
That is probably the best performance we've had in this new system. Since we moved to this Trent inverted stuff, that is the best we've played. I think no one had a bad game. I thought this was the first time we really saw Trent and Robertson understand how to play their roles together. The midfield, each and every one of them was brilliant. I think adding Curtis Jones to that midfield just gave it so much more control, which I think was missing from the previous couple of games. Gave us a lot more insurance, the front three. Aston Villa's defence will be having nightmares about that for the next couple of weeks because they just tore them a new one. Diaz against Cash, Nunes against Pau Torres, who, by the way, Pau Torres is awful. Can we just get this out there? Pau Torres is awful. Salah up against Digne. It was just a really good performance. And Joe Gomez had a really good game against Newcastle. We all sat there and thought, oh, he has a one good game, then you have a stinker. No, he was brilliant against day. He starts the season really, really well, Joe Gomez. And if he can keep up that form, then we might just get away with not buying a centre-back, even though we probably should have done. And the fact that we can add Ryan Gravenberch to this, the fact that we've got Stefan Bajcetic to return, the fact that we've got Thiago to return, the fact that this was done without Canate and Van Dijk at the back, that was really... It's a lot of positives to take from it. And I thought, like I said, this is the best performance we've seen from this team in this new system. And hopefully we kick on it. You know, Szoboszlai, he's so good, man. He's so good. Going from Henderson on the right-hand side to him, you can't really describe the feeling of going from watching your right central midfielder fails to cross the ball to watching your right central midfielder now weak foot volley it from the edge of the box into the ground and into the back of the net in one smooth motion. Like, it's a joke. And this team, look, I still don't think we're going to win the league. I still think Manchester City is too strong. But I've got an awful lot of confidence that should the door open up for us, this team, I'm not going to say this squad, but this team, this 14, 15 players, show me that they are in a position where they can sit at that top level. And if the door opens, they may be the ones to put the foot through it and go, yeah, we'll swoop in then. And that's given me a lot more confidence than I had going into the season.
Yeah, do you know what? I think on Szoboszlai, look, Liverpool fans were calling for a Hendo replacement for at least 2 to 3 seasons. And it started off in a non-disrespectful way to Jordan Henderson. But it became disrespectful because you're kind of projecting your anger. You're thinking, hang on, we know he's not at his best. And there must be better players out there. And straight away you've seen, you know, the quality of this man who's raising those levels in that midfield. In terms of him as a midfielder, I mean, his influence in the first 4 games has been palpable, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, look, he's come in and he's settled in and is playing really well from the get-go. And you always wonder when new players come in. I think most of us had confidence that he would settle eventually and would be able to make a positive contribution. But both him and McAllister, I think they've done well from the start. And not so much the goals and stuff like that, just the little things that he does, the little 1-2s, the small through balls that don't split a defense necessarily, but maybe take a midfield or two out of, you know, the immediate play and give you an opportunity to build an attack. It's been really encouraging. It's gone better than I could have hoped for. And yeah, look, the icing on the cake is that strike, because anybody who's played football knows that to strike a ball like that on the half volley is not easy. And yeah, look, it was going through a crowd of players. Maybe the goalkeeper might be a bit unsighted and all that kind of stuff. But you know, he got it on target. It was going to be difficult either way, and he looks silky, man. He looks really good.
I wonder if all those players, well, the Kai Havertz and the Timo Werners, who Klopp wanted all those years ago, I wonder if they wish they left the Bundesliga to play for him. Because again, and this is why people say, "Oh, so-and-so's from this league, I can't take him seriously." I'm telling you, Szoboszlai's a player, and I'm only going by the fact that I do match reviews for all of the top 6 every game, pretty much. We do transfer news for all of them. And I would say up until you guys were linked to him, I don't remember a single person out of the millions that watch our shows a month say this is who Liverpool or United or City should buy. So it goes to show, And sometimes when, like you say, we need a new midfielder, and someone who is defending Henderson will say, yeah, but who though? It's not always your job as a fan to know who, because that's not your job. Your job as a fan is to watch your team. Yes, you can do a bit of research, but you don't have the access to the information, footage, and stadiums and training grounds that professional scouts do. It's down to your club to find a better player. It's not always for fans to come up with that name. And Slobosly is a great example of a player that nobody was talking about, who's come in and looks a top-level Premier League player instantly.
And expertise as well. Like, don't get me wrong, even the best fan is probably at best like an amateur scout, right? You're not paid to do this on a full-time permanent basis by some of the best people in the game, some of the biggest clubs in the world. So you're not expected to. Obviously, people will make suggestions, and some of them will turn out to be right, and some of them will turn out to be wrong. All you can comment on really is where you think there are deficiencies and where they can be improved upon. And look, that Bellingham was the name on everybody's lips, has been for the last 2 seasons. And obviously, maybe that's kind of taken up a little bit of if he wasn't in the equation, maybe people might have been talking about Szoboszlai, because he has been known. He obviously played against us for Salzburg, and he did well for Leipzig. But no one saw it coming. And like, even a few days before we signed him, he was being linked with Newcastle more than he was being linked with us. So it is what it is.
Yeah. G, just off that slightly, what, aside from it might be Slobosly as the answer, what do you think it was about Liverpool today that made you so dominant, so controlled, and almost looked like Liverpool of old in terms of not being penetrated, not being opened up, and just looking dangerous every time you went forward?
Szoboszlai played a big part, but I think as a team we just killed them. Like, it's like we just killed their hope from really the first 20 minutes of the game. They had like their chances, obviously, as any team would do. Up against anybody, you're going to have chances in the game, and maybe on a different day they put them in the back of the net. But when they didn't do that, it's almost like it knocked their own confidence. So we were able to just feed on that, and we just kept getting more and more dominant in the game, keeping the ball well. In the midfield, even at the back, I was even happy that usually when you got like Van Dijk and Konate there, you'll start seeing Van Dijk holding on to the ball quite a lot. You see Konate, he might be a bit rash with certain little things, but today Gomez and Matip, they did their job really, really well. And I think that then fed on to the midfield, who did their job, and then the attack doing their job. And it's just all a domino effect. So I think with that kind of performance, take that on. And it begs the question, do Liverpool really need a 6? But that's a conversation for another day.
Well, you've got, obviously, it's the Gravenberch coming in is very, very different. But one thing I wanted to pick up on what you said, I think, is bang on. When you guys were the best team in the world, as a Man United fan watching, what used to irk me, frustrate me, make me angry, was the fact that teams would get 2 or 3 chances in a game and consistently fluff their lines. And I always put that down to your brilliance, making them feel more pressured in their chances. Almost, if I don't take this chance, I may not get another one. And that is how Villa looked to me today, a team like rabbits in headlights. And I thought that was due to your quality as a team today. And as I say, I watched the game and I'm sitting there and I'm appreciating it from a football standpoint. As a Man United fan, I'm watching Liverpool thinking, oh, please don't get back to this level, because it's been nice the last year when you've been more human again. But today was your levels of old, and I don't think even the most diehard Liverpool hater, if they're being honest, is like, yeah, that Liverpool team looked pretty decent today. Maybe it was Van Dijk being missing. Who knows? But that's a joke, by the way. I wanted to ask you, Tom, about Darwin Núñez, because there's a few comments that have come through on here. This one here says Darwin must not start, but again, do you agree with that, or is this boy really starting to turn into that number 9 you spent all that money on?
I assume they're going out of the missed chances. Yeah, he missed some chances today. It happens. It seems to be a common thing with him. It happens with strikers. Sometimes they miss chances. He got an assist today. He created the second one because of it in the post. And the first one was from his press, which led to the corner, which then led to the goal. So he's had a hand in all 3 goals. I can't fault my striker for that. Yes, you'd like to see him score more. Obviously, you would. It's quite funny watching some of the chances that he misses. But ultimately, if he's still helping us score goals, right now I can't complain. I thought he was brilliant today at exploiting that Aston Villa weakness. They played a high line against arguably one of the quickest players in the league. He's so quick. And poor Pau Torres, I know I called him out early, it just exasperates the point. Darwin Núñez had Pau Torres wherever he wanted him. Any way he wants them, in behind, to feet. Pau Torres couldn't do anything there. Núñez,
you know what? I want to take nothing away from Núñez, but do you know what? Pau Torres today, we talk about this a lot on transfers, and people say, "Oh, do you rate so and so?" Typically, when there's a player who's been linked to Premier League teams for 3, 4, 5 summers, and no one's taken that punt, it tells me there's a problem. It tells me there's a flaw in their game that all those other teams sort of thought to themselves, nah, I don't think we're going to take the risk on him. And today with Pau Torres, I said Darwin absolutely destroyed him. But Rack, what is your take on him? Because I know he didn't get the goal today, but he was influential in it. He hit the post. You know, he was an absolute 2 games running where he, especially off that shoulder, he has looked absolutely potent.
Yeah, look, he's people call him the was it Master of Chaos or whatever you want to call it, and he does bring
Captain Chaos.
Captain Chaos, yeah. And at the very least, he's got physical attributes that almost any other striker would want, and he gives us that air of unpredictability, not just when he plays, but also in terms of team selection. Because if you're preparing for Liverpool to play Gakpo and Darwin Núñez comes, he presents a totally different set of problems. And having that versatility, we haven't had that versatility too much over the years, so that's encouraging. Also, they're both, he's young, so I expect him to get better. Look, over the last year or so, I've started to have more and more question marks, and maybe that's not fair because he is young, and everyone looks at Haaland as the yardstick, and that's really not fair. Because when you have a young striker coming in with a big price tag on his head, and then you're comparing him to the guy who's broken the goal scoring record in the Premier League era, that's not a fair comparison. But I think signs are encouraging. He needs to improve certain areas of game, whether he's if he's playing, because you're right, some of his hold up play and some of his link up play is not of the level required. We don't necessarily expect him to be a Bobby Firmino, but he still needs to improve in that area. And if he does improve that area, that will make him even more potent. But time will tell. Good game today. Keeps getting into positions. 2 goals last week, won us the game, and was a constant threat today. So, yeah, all good. We'll see how he does in the next few games, because we've got some tough games coming up for the rest of in the next month. We're playing Brighton away, Spurs away, and West Ham at home. So that'll be an interesting test.
I don't know about you guys. I just feel like the Premier League now, barring maybe Luton, Sheffield United, Forest, a couple of those teams at home, just every game feels hard these days. It's like every you're like, oh, we've got an easy one coming up. And like, no, I've got to go to Brighton, got to play Villa, Newcastle. It's just so many good teams now. This super chat here says was at Tom. Obviously, Tom's had to shoot off now. It says it's like going from watching Karius to Alisson in comparison to Hendo. Hendo is pumped with brilliant Liverpool, but this is the thing. We all get attached to football players far too sentimentally when actually the club should be your biggest focus. And he was just past his best, and he had to be moved on. Lamar here says, Terry, as a Liverpool fan, that is a fair statement. Sobo was a beast again. Yeah, there's no doubt. In terms of Trent's performance today, he obviously come under a lot of scrutiny because for 2 or 3 years he was almost flawless. One of the best young right back we've ever seen. Sketchy game against Newcastle, but today he was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I think when I watched him today, it's one of those performances. I think because of how we played as a whole against Villa, he just looked like just normal. Like he was just the normal Trent, picking out the passes, spraying the balls, cross field, taking up nice positions. I think we saw one of the passes that he made today. I think for Núñez goal, Núñez a shot. I think that ricocheted off the post. It's like when I'm watching his performance today, I'm like, okay, this is just normal Trent. This is Trent just doing the basic things that he does really, really well to that elite level. And when you can get him into some of these positions on the pitch, yeah, Trent can be a problem. He can be a problem because of the passing range that he does have. But I think what we've been seeing in these first like couple of games, well, really every game this season so far, it's the individual mistakes from Trent, either not being in the right position, ball going under his feet. You know, these are uncharacteristic for him though, because he don't really always do stuff like that. He's comfortable on the ball, but I think with today, it was just a dominant performance that I like. I don't feel like there was an outstanding player today, because I feel like collectively we were all really, really good, you know, as a team. So, you know, he was a part of that.
Mate, that makes a lot of sense to me. As I said earlier, I think you guys were top class.